Well, I weren't expecting that level of performance from Aston Villa, but to be honest with you, I don't know why I'm shocked. We kind of get that level of performance here and there off the boys. Pretty happy with that. Are you?
Yeah, buzzing, mate.
I'd be a bit confused if you said you weren't. Right, let's get into it. Welcome back to the latest episode of B6 and Beyond. You are here with me and Corey to discuss what was a really good night in Istanbul for Aston Villa Football Club. Beating Fenerbahce 1-0 away, and the performance was very good from every man and his dog on the football pitch. Before I do get into it, I just got to remind you all, guys, we do have the ongoing giveaway for either match tickets or a shirt of your choice. All that you need to do to qualify is make sure to smash that subscribe button, and we give that away every 500 subs, so don't miss out. We're going to, listen, we've just beat Fenerbahce. We qualified for the top eight. We sat second, I think it is in the league phase at the moment. Beat Salzburg at home next week, and we finish in the top two, which is massive for us. So on that basis, smash a like on the video. We're going to have a goal of 25 likes. Right, Corey, here we go. Let's get into it. Where should we start? So, individual performances, or do you want to just talk about the collective of how the game went?
I think it's best just to talk about the game as a whole, and then we can obviously
Yeah.
get into individuals as we talk about it. I think that's probably the best way to approach it.
Yeah, I thought first half we were very good, and we got the goal at a good time, really. Sancho with a lovely header. Whilst we're talking around Sancho, I thought that was the best display I've seen from Jadon Sancho in a Villa shirt. And long may it continue. I set off. Obviously, I messaged you offline. If we was to get that level of performance from Jadon Sancho going forward, what a player we've got for the rest of the season.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's funny, really. I was thinking about it today. All of the away games we've played, we've started a lot more intense. Like we seem to go in at half time thinking we should be 3-4 up. I'm thinking about obviously go ahead Eagles, which obviously is the only loss we've had. Bologna, when we played them, we probably should have been more ahead. And you look at those sort of games and just say we're coming out in away games and really attacking teams. Like you say, Jadon Sancho was brilliant. He probably could have had at least two, maybe.
Yeah, should have.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, it was a superb performance from everyone in the first half. I think there was a little bit of all of us that were thinking a bit nervous at half time when obviously we're only going in at 1-0 with the team we had. But like you say, I didn't expect it. I didn't expect us to really even necessarily go for the game, let alone the way we did.
To be honest with you, I thought we made them look very, very poor. And it's actually give me a lot more confidence, and I'm probably getting ahead of myself, a lot more confidence going into the remainder of the tournament, because you would have think Fenerbahce would be one of the favourites to go on and win, to be up there for winning the tournament, especially with the side that they've got. But we kept them so quiet. Duran was absolutely terrible. Tyron Mings, bloody hell, he'll be emptying his pockets as he gets home. He'll have, John Duran in there and his car keys. Like, he absolutely dominated John Duran. Which I won't spend too much time talking on John Duran, because I said, many a times I think the Villa absolutely mugged off Al Nassr and got a massive fee for him, and he was just a flash in the pan, in my opinion. But we just dominated him. I thought they looked a lot better when they brought on Anderson Talisca. He definitely impacted the game. He got on the ball a lot more than what Duran did. And he obviously, I know Duran was on with him, but he's a top class player in my opinion. I know yours might differ to what my opinion is on him, but I thought he was very good when he come on.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like I said, we won't spend too much time on Duran. There's a reason why he's been to Saudi and Turkey at the age he is, and I think, like you say, when we had him as a 19, 20-year-old, you can afford to take risks. Some of the shots he was having, obviously, they were going in, but you can afford to get away with that because you're younger and inexperienced, whereas now we're starting to see him a little bit older, playing in bigger games. You see moments like Tyrone Mings today. First game back from injury, he's been out for, 7 weeks, 8 weeks?
Oh, he's impeccable.
Colossal performance. Victor Lindelof next to him, brilliant again. Just as a whole back line, I thought they were superb. Like I say, Talisca, when he came on, he did cause some problems. And one thing I do want to mention, which I thought we dealt with really well, was Asensio. I barely noticed him playing. At times he was brilliant. He was there was that one where, brilliant goalkeeping by Bizzo, by the way, to come out and meet that ball. There was that one time where he got past Yuri a bit too easily. But, again, we dealt with him really well.
Yeah, I noticed, I don't know if you noticed it at one point when Luca Dean literally ran from left back basically up towards the middle of the pitch, just literally followed Asensio the whole way. So that was clearly a tactic deployed by Unai Emery to effectively man mark him as closely as we could, because we knew that, if you let him get on the ball and dictate play, he can hurt you, and we've seen that on Villa Park, where he's done it for us against teams. If you give Marco Asensio the space, he can damage any team. So I agree with you. I thought we managed him well. I thought he had a few little moments in the game, but you kind of expect that from a player of that quality. But overall, I don't think he did a fat lot. I would like to talk about Lamar Bogard and his performance, because I've seen a few Villa fans again criticising him. I don't think he was particularly bad, but I don't think he was fantastic, but I thought he did okay. And I think, he's a young lad who's learning the game very quickly. He's still 20, 21, 22. Going away in the I'm going to say Champions League. I wish. Anyway, in the Europa League to Fenerbahce in Turkey, which is one of the most hostile atmospheres in the world. He will never have played in that kind of cauldron before. So it's a massive learning curve, and this is a big thing which we should be taking away from this game. Him, Hemmings, Andres Garcia, all these youngsters that have come on that pitch today and impacted the game. Even Ian Matson, he's only 22, 23, and he's stepping on that pitch. He probably wouldn't have experienced that sort of atmosphere before. So it's massive, massive plus for all the other players going into the latter stages of the Europa League. Now we're going to have to face that sort of atmosphere again, and the fact that they've done it at this stage, it's a positive. It can only be seen as a positive.
Yeah, I completely agree. And listen, I'm not going to lie. I was one of them, as you know. I sent a message at half-time and just sort of said, I'm a massive Lamar Bogard fan. I do love Lamar Bogard. Whether or not he's the answer right now for what we need, I'm not sure in that sense. But he's got that chance now that Onana's back and Touchwood hopefully can stay fit for the rest of the season. You've got Lamar Bogard can develop himself there. And like you say, what better way to do it than being away in Istanbul, one of the most hostile atmospheres. I think he did start the game a bit shaky. I think he's not really suited towards that sort of tiki-taka football that we play. He's more of a sort of dirty interceptions, that sort of player, and breaks things down, which he does really well. And I think as the game became a bit more open and we got time on it, that's where we were brilliant. And to be fair to him, I mean, obviously, he played that one ball into Watkins as well, where he's ran from the edge of our box to the edge of theirs and played a lovely.
Yeah. Watkins should do better.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great block. I mean, defensively, I will give credit where credit's due. Fenerbahce were brilliant defensively today. I thought anytime we got a chance, they were there, bodies on the line. I mean, you've got a Champions League finalist in Skriniar. I don't know if he won. He would have won the Champions League with PSG last year, maybe, or did he sign for Fenerbahce last year?
I think he might have been in the squad early on and then he went out, but I could be completely wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say it with my chest.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, you look at Fenerbahce's team, they have got some
top players,
world-class players, and obviously some players who are
Edison,
top players. Like you say, Edison, arguably at one point was one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Skriniar, as he's shown today, physicality-wise and his leadership and stuff, even though he is a bit of a thug.
Nelson Semedo was on the books at Barcelona where Messi and that were all there.
Exactly, Semedo's there. Fred, he's playing for Man United at one point, and like, you've got all these players, but like I say, I think Villa dealt with it all perfectly.
And that's what I think people need to start to realise, that we do have a top quality squad. Yes, we are a bit weak weak in terms of depth at the moment. Injuries haven't helped us, obviously, with the likes of, John McGinn and Kamara's injury, but you've obviously got Sancho that has come back to the team today, which has helped massive. Amadou Onana's returned to the squad today, which is massive. And we will make transfers and we will bring players through the door. We will maybe touch on that in a moment. I would like to talk about a few things, but I think we do need to talk about, before we head into that, because I think we've covered a lot of the game, but there's a certain person in the game that I think we should talk about, and that is Oliver George, Arthur Watkins, or Arthur George. Yeah, I think we should have a chat about him. I love Ollie. I do love Ollie, and I am always going to be the advocate for pro Ollie Watkins, and I will defend him until the cows come home. But there has to be a conversation now where the next striker that we get in has to be his long-term replacement, because the problem is with Ollie, he's on a big wage. He's on a fortune. And if you're not getting it out of him what you need, that season, where he got, was it 16 Premier League goals and nearly, was it 11 or 12 assists in the Prem? And
19 goals, 13 assists it was.
how much was it? 19. Sorry, 19.
Goals,
That's
13
correct.
assists.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So you've done me there. Yeah. So 19 goals, 13 assists, so 32 goal contributions. That's an elite level striker in the Premier League, and that's the kind of output you need for one of your top earners. And with that, he's got like 16 goals, or whatever it is. So he's getting you 15 goals in a season in the Premier League. He probably will do that again this season. I think he will be very close to getting 15 goals again this year. He's not far off. What is he got? 7 now?
7, yeah.
I would back him to get, in like 9 goals for him out the remainder of the season. So that's a goal every other game. I think Ollie Watkins is more than capable to do that. But what I would like to see is someone who's going to be putting away those chances, and he's not clinical enough. A couple of times tonight where he probably should have scored. What you get with Ollie Watkins is he knows the Emery system like the back of his hand. He'll work his absolute arse off for the team. But that knee's causing him some serious issues as well, I think. So there has to be a point where we have to look for the long term of the club now. Not so much Ollie Watkins. That would be my opinion on it. What's yours?
No, I completely agree, and I think, listen, obviously, like you say, for me, you can see that knee's having a massive impact, and it makes it even more sort of confusing as to why we've let Marlon leave without having a direct replacement straight away, because obviously the idea was that Watkins couldn't play full games, and then you've got games like tonight where he's having to play a full game. I mean, to be honest with you, I was surprised when Rodgers came off. I thought it was going to be Watkins who came off. I thought we were going to see Gasson up front, which is obviously his more natural position up front, where he plays for the national team. But I do agree. I think you can see it's a lot slower. There was the one where I think he went through on goal and he took forever to get his shot off, and the defender came back. And then there's the one which I spoke about where Bogart's played it through to him, and obviously the player's got across. And you even see it with it's the one point where he took Skriniar. I mean, obviously he was unlucky. He took Skriniar down the line and absolutely skinned him. But then he just slowed down a bit too much and he slipped at the final thing. And obviously, yes, he's won a corner, which is great. But
Should have been more.
Yeah, the next thing we see has to be whoever comes in. It needs to be someone who we can rely on to score goals and give Watkins that break where he might just have to say for the rest of the season he's coming on as a 60th minute sub and plays the Duran role, so to speak, or the Marlon role. Because even then, if he's getting his goals that way, he'll get the England team. He can still get his goals and things like that. But like you say,
of course he will. Because at the end of the day, if Tommy Tuchel can see that he's affecting the game when he comes off the bench, that's what he's needed for with England. Because he ain't going to start. Harry Kane will be the main man. He wants someone who's going to come off the bench and make an impact. And if he does that for Aston Villa Football Club, then he's going to get that. Going to get that for England, isn't he? At the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly that. I think one thing I do want to do is, before we obviously go on to any transfers and stuff, to finish on a bit of a positive note from the game. This is where I thought you were going when you were saying about specific people's performances. Marco Bizot. Again, don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily think he had tough saves to make. There was the one from Talisca, which was probably the only real...
Doesn't matter though, does it? He did everything you wanted.
Exactly. He's done his job and he's done it well.
Yeah.
He was calm, he was compact. And do you know what? We spoke about this. I don't know if we've spoke about it on the podcast. We spoke about it off camera, definitely. I thought today in the box, his aerial ability and his clubbing and claiming and just getting a fist on something was brilliant. We spoke about it before, obviously, the game against... who was it? Was it against Bologna, where he tried to come out for the one and get into the ball?
I think so.
We spoke about that, and obviously the game against Brighton, where it went in off the corner. But I thought he was brilliant today.
Is there a world where the Villa potentially look at entertaining offers for Emi Martinez this window? Obviously, there's the links to Inter Milan.
It's a really difficult one. I've seen a lot of people say, obviously, Bizot's more than capable to play, to be that number one for the rest of the season, which I don't disagree with. The issue is then if he picks up an injury, because let's not forget Marco Bizot is 36 or something like that. He's not young, so if he picks up a knock, you then look at the bench. You've got James Wright, who's 20.
Well, you'd need to.
Sam Proctor at 17, so you'd need someone in, but we can't really be. We don't want to sign a second goalkeeper then.
No, you'd be looking at
Jason Martinez with a first team goalkeeper.
You'd potentially look at a goalkeeper on loan till the end of the season to come in and play second fiddle to Marco Bizot. That's what my understanding would be. Someone who's fairly, decent, and we can get on loan just to cover that hole. And then in the summer, I look at replacing Emi Martinez. I just think if a deal presents itself, the Villa might entertain it, especially. Look, with Martinez's injuries, or say injuries with quotation mark, he's a high wage. I think if the club can get him off the wage bill, we'll probably look to do it. But anyway, that's neither here or there. I think the striking department is something we need to really focus on. Whether we look at whether Mateta comes in, whether Tammy Abraham comes in, or the new one that has been linked tonight, which is Gonzalo Ramos. It looks like the Villa are really active trying to get a new forward in. I'm very surprised we haven't. I know you don't like him, but I'm just another one. I'm just going to throw out there. I'm very surprised that we haven't seen links to Strand Larsen yet, because obviously he's going to be looking at getting a move from Wolves. There's going to be something happening. I would be very surprised if it isn't the start of next week that it's done. I'm a bit disappointed to not see something done before the Newcastle game, but hey ho, that's kind of how January is. It was the same last year, weren't it? Like, it literally took till the last day and it just went bang, because get towards the end of the window and teams start to shit themselves. They don't want to keep these players on their wage books. They kind of come down in their asking prices. They come down in their bargaining, because they lose that power, don't they, over you a little bit, because throughout the window they can be like, oh no, he's going to go here, the player's going to go there, but come the last day, it's like, yeah, you're our only option. Let's do a deal.
100%. And I don't want to speak about it too much because I think it's irrelevant, really. But do you think that maybe Villa thought that there was a deal further along when we sold Marlon? Because obviously, the whole reason you sort of look at these January transfers now and say, like, with Tammy not coming, it's because Besiktas are holding off until they can find something. Palace will be holding off until they can find a replacement. PSG, obviously, with Gonzalo Ramos, they don't need a replacement. They've already got Dembele. Ramos is a second choice for them anyway. So I do wonder whether maybe Villa thought there was a deal ready to go.
I don't think so. I think Marlon was looked at by a couple of clubs. Obviously, there was the Roma links, and there was another one, weren't there? Atletico Madrid. I believe personally the way that panned out is Roma come in, and originally the offer was for him on a not an obligation to buy, but for an option to buy. Obviously, the interest from other clubs has come in, whether that's been manufactured. Obviously, we can't prove that, and then it's kind of twisted Roma's arm and they said, okay, we'll take him, but it'll be on an obligation to buy. And at that point, Villa have looked at that as an opportunity to move one out that we need to, and then we can bring one in. Because what if we didn't move Marlon out and then we're stuck with him, and with our PSR or SCR situation, we're not in a position where we can go and just spend willy-nilly. We need to be very careful in what we're doing. We need to move out before we bring in. And I think if we would have not sold Marlon, it might have put us in a position where we couldn't sign anyone. So ultimately, Emery wants that profile of forward. He wants a striker. He doesn't want a hybrid like Marlon. He wants an out-and-out striker. I just think the opportunity come, and Unai Emery and the team have took it.
Fair, yeah. I think it's a fair shot.
Right, I think we've covered most things, Corey, unless there's anything more you want to talk about.
No, I think that's done it, mate.
Happy days. Right, so Villa have marched on to the next round of the Europa League, ladies and gentlemen. So it's a fantastic season so far for Aston Villa Football Club. Next week we have a massive game against Salzburg, which if we win, we will qualify and finish in the top two of the Europa League, meaning that we will get our home games in the knockout stages at home second. So it's a massive game at Villa Park, and we need to get over the line there. Big game this weekend against Newcastle United, and me and Corey will be back for podcasts ahead of that. After that, as always, from me and Corey, up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
Up the fucking Villa.